What's up, everybody? This is the Fanema Movie Podcast, Episode 1. I'm Eli. I'm here with my boy G. Say hello.
Hey.
So today we're really gonna go over our top 5 movies we've seen this year so far, and then we're gonna recap the 5 movies we're looking forward to most.
All in one episode, right?
All in one episode, I think.
Yes.
So moving forward, this podcast is gonna be a lot of things. We might be talking about films we saw, although I think we're going to be doing movie reviews on the actual YouTube channel by themselves. But we might be going in-depth into films on this. We might be covering movie news, speculation, and casting, as well as, like, since the new Halloween movie's coming out, when things like that come out, we may do, like, a special, like, ranking the top 10 horror reboots or remakes coming out, things like that. So, without further ado, I guess we're just going to get into it. Top 5 seen so far this year.
I'm going to start with our honorable mentions here. Honorable mentions.
Yes,
so
sir.
What do you got for your honorable mention?
My honorable mention is a movie we just saw last week, and that is Juliet Naked. Yes, sir.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Starring Ethan Hawke, Chris O'Dowd, and Rose Byrne. It's a comedy drama, more on the drama side to me, but it's a funny movie. It's about a woman who's been in this relationship for 10, 15 years, and this guy who she's with is just, he's obsessed with an old rocker, old American rock star, and he won't let it go. The guy is gone for at least a decade now, probably longer, and it's a touching story. She ends up kind of linking up with this old rock star when her and her boyfriend break up, and it's a charming story about second chances and relationships, family, pretty much. I mean, I think there's something that everybody can kind of grasp onto, and I think it's told very genuinely. I think that you saw it.
Yeah, let's talk about the performances of each of the 3 actors you've mentioned, starting with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I thought Ethan Hawke played this like old kind of grizzled bum, I guess.
Washed up. Yeah,
washed up's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend too much time since it's an honorable mention, but I do think that Rose Byrne and Ethan Hawke had infectious chemistry. And also Chris O'Dowd, that guy was funny. You know, that guy was funny without telling jokes. And there was, for all the humor, there was still an equal amount of really gripping, dramatic scenes that I thought really moved me and touched me emotionally. And for that and many more reasons, that is my honorable mention. What about you, my friend?
My honorable mention for 2018 is Ready Player One right now.
Ready Player One, very high on my list, but continue.
Yeah, but Ready Player One, saw it in IMAX, I think, yeah. Steven Spielberg.
I think that's probably my favorite IMAX movie this year. Favorite IMAX experience.
Yeah,
also.
I'll have to agree with that. I mean, the amount of how they utilized all the
CG and how they encompass the entire, pretty much over half the movie's all CG.
That is true, yeah.
And it's motion capture, and it's some of the best I've ever seen.
Especially for Steven Spielberg at his age to, do the research that he did and to really invest.
Yeah, he invested a lot, and I'll get into that more, since it's on the list. But Ready Player One, definitely. If you haven't checked that out, it's a blockbuster that people didn't see enough.
That is true, yeah. Adventurous. I enjoyed it. It had a very, very whimsical
classic
adventure.
Spielberg.
Yes,
for sure.
Probably the best way to describe that movie.
It's a return to form. Obviously, we had like the Big Friendly Giant and a couple other. It's been a while since we've had that big whimsical adventure from Spielberg hit.
Yeah,
and
true.
This definitely hit. But moving on, we're gonna go to number 5. Number 5 on my list is Sicario 2, directed by Stefano Sollima. It is his first feature, I believe. Maybe he's done a few more, but he's mainly made his name through the short film market. And going into this, the first Sicario was made by Denis Villeneuve, who's perhaps the best filmmaker of the last 10 years. The guy is incredible.
Intimidating to go after.
Definitely intimidating, especially when you have not only Denis Villeneuve, but you have him paired with his partner, basically, Roger Deakins behind the camera. That guy.
Academy Award winning
finally after 14 attempts.
Yeah.
But they have a very distinct visual style. It's very raw, very gripping, very rugged. And I was nervous going into this movie that it wouldn't have the same visual style and the same visual feel.
Yeah.
And it definitely debunked all the hesitation. It did seem like a continuation of the film before. The story was just as gripping and just as rugged, if not more, than the first one.
Taylor Sheridan, right?
Taylor Sheridan, yeah, same screenwriter on both. The guy is incredible. I'm sure we'll touch on him more throughout the podcast. But I think that this story, I mean, it doesn't hold back, man. They don't hold back. They don't pull any punches. It's a movie about, the cartel and the U.S. government meddling in it, and it gets pretty dark. But the acting is all incredible. I think that, what's his name? Benicio del Toro. I think he put in an Oscar-worthy performance that won't get recognized. Obviously, we have a lot of Oscar bait movies coming out, so maybe he wouldn't be worthy of the cut at the end of the line. But I do think that if the Oscars were right now, he would definitely have to be nominated. So what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Marvel's Black Panther.
The Black Panther.
Yes, in all its glory. And I did not see this one in IMAX, unfortunately.
Ouch. I saw it twice in IMAX the same night. Opening night. I remember I went to it. I saw it in IMAX. I was walking out, talking to some friends about it. I turned around and went right back in.
Yeah, but Black Panther, I mean, everyone knew this movie was going to break records and
of course
do phenomenal in the box office.
700 million domestic, man.
Exactly. And for me, the most notable thing about Black Panther was its soundtrack. And I truly enjoy the amount of work that they put into the soundtrack. And Chadwick Boseman.
I think we need to clarify this, though, just a little bit, because there is a Black Panther album. Specifically the score.
True.
Specifically the score is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the score itself.
Because I think that's something that's not talked about enough when people talk about Black Panther. I do think that the score, one thing we're getting back to with Marvel is finally giving characters themes. And I think that the Black Panther theme has already become iconic. And even if people don't realize what it is, like they don't pay attention to scores and all that kind of stuff, you hear that jingle, da-da-dum. Yeah. You know the Black Panther's coming.
We were talking about this, I remember, with when it comes to themes for Marvel characters.
Yeah. A lot of the characters didn't get themes because it's just not something they focused on.
But now Black Panther has a very distinct one.
Very distinct. Great theme. The acting's incredible. Costume design is definitely might win the Oscar.
Oh yeah, that's true. Costume design.
I do think the score should be nominated.
Yeah.
The story's incredible. And I think that Michael B. Jordan pairing with Ryan Coogler for the third time now pretty much solidified himself as a top star in Hollywood.
That is true. And now...
So yeah, my number 4 was your honorable mention. That is Ready Player One. Steven Spielberg back into prominence. He is blockbuster Spielberg with us again. And so I just want to get into Ready Player One a bit. This guy, Steven Spielberg, this man is like 80 years old, nearly, and he's composing shots on a VR headset.
Oh, you all better listen now.
No, this thing, like, you get into the special features of that Blu-ray. It's insane. This guy's learning all these new tricks at 80. I mean, that's insane to me. And it's not just that. Most of this film is being composed in a digital world, so they're working in this all-white room with just cameras, and it's all imagination. And for this guy to be able to cook all that up, obviously he has great source material, but it is a departure from the book. It's incredible to me. And I just have to note my favorite scenes in the film. One, obviously when Gundam arrives.
Oh, okay.
I choose Gundam style.
That's probably number 1. Like,
definitely.
That's for me.
It has to be number 1. It gave me a chill. I didn't expect it.
That was...
And you have Gundam coming down to fight Mechagodzilla. That is...
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nerd's dream right there.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I didn't expect... I think we saw some in the trailer. There was like a quick shot.
Maybe, but I tried not to watch the trailer very much, and so I didn't break it down, and I didn't notice it.
But yeah, I mean...
Everybody saw the Iron Giant. They knew that he was going there and kick some ass. But and then also The Shining. There's a scene where they completely recreate the hotel in The Shining. And that was seriously special. I mean, it's all digital, but it looks like a photoreal copy.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that they built the set.
Yeah.
Until I saw the behind the scenes stuff. And I think that it's great, even if you haven't seen the movie, but if you have seen The Shining and you're familiar with it, it's even that much better. So for that reason and many more, Ready Player One, is my number 4.
Now for me, my number 4 happens to be Tully, Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron, Tully.
Yes. What's his name? Mike Duplass? He was in there as well?
Yeah, Mike Duplass, of Creep fame.
Yeah, him.
That
I was
guy.
like, yeah, he had his little. You think he played the brother in that?
Yeah,
in that
he
movie.
is a brother.
But definitely, yeah, the star of this movie was Charlize Theron, and this movie's
And
about
Mackenzie Davies. I
think that's her name.
Yeah, it is.
Her.
She
Yeah,
is so good in Blade Runner and now in Tully.
that's true. Yeah.
She is incredible, and she's going to be in the new Terminator movie. Crossing my
yeah.
fingers for that one.
True. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, going to Tully.
But yeah, with Tully, it was for me it was the way they describe motherhood.
Yeah,
Especially with how they go into
basically like the responsibilities of a mother, and I think it's definitely like a very raw representation of motherhood. They don't hold back in terms of the mental side of it, and she's in a relationship with her husband who really doesn't pay any attention to the kids.
Yeah, that's very
like he's
true.
not abusive or anything like that. He goes to work, comes home, and then he's basically in their room playing games. Nothing abusive, but he doesn't put in any parenting effort.
Yeah, and I think just to spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know, but the way they go about this movie with I think Mackenzie Davis is her name. Yeah, her character happens to play the younger version, I think, of Tully.
She plays a babysitter.
Yeah,
and basically she's a reflection. She seems Tully sees a lot of herself in the babysitter. I'll say, not to get into it too much.
Yeah,
but I do think that it is a nice commentary on just the different stages of life and how motherhood can be. And I think that anyone, if you are a mother, if you have a mother, if you know a mother, I think everyone can get something out of this movie.
Yeah,
I think it will move you.
It's very moving, especially when it all comes together in the end and you discover what was actually happening in the movie. But yeah, that's my number 4, and I think we're moving on to our number 3.
Yes, sir.
And what do
moving
we have?
in number 3 on my list? Mission Impossible Fallout. This is the 6th installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Mission Impossible 5. Coming back in the director's chair, Brad Pitt. And I think this franchise has evolved tremendously from the first 2. And then, J.J. Abrams brought it up to prominence, really, with Mission Impossible 3. Then Brad Bird brought it to another level. And they really haven't slowed down since. I think that this movie, although it has the same director, Chris McQuarrie, I do think that they made an effort to make a distinct style difference. Whereas the 5th one is kind of campy. I don't want to say campy, but it's a lot more fun, a lot more lighthearted, even though it's about like a potential like world-ending catastrophe kind of thing. Thus, Mission Impossible. But I do think that this one took a much more serious tone. The stunts are basically what reeled me in. I was never really a Mission Impossible fan before this movie. Before this movie came out, I bought the box set, went through them all, and fell in love by the end.
Yeah.
And now we have Tom Cruise doing his own stunts at 55. This man's hanging out of a freaking helicopter. The helicopter's flying through the air. He's hanging on a rope while they fly through mountains. Like, maybe he's attached to a harness, but it's not holding him in place. It's just making sure he doesn't plummet to his death. This guy's swinging from a rope, climbing helicopters. They're swaying through trees. He got his helicopter license just for this movie. To do these advanced stunts. It's not like he's flying, down the beach. This guy's going through snowy mountains doing flips.
Isn't it always those what do you call those, halo jumps? How many
dude? Yeah, he did 100 halo jumps for one sequence.
This guy.
I was watching him like, how is that necessary? I think he's just a thrill junkie and he used the budget to get some personal thrills. But 100 halo jumps. They had to make a special helmet so his brain could handle it. I don't know the science of it.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone heard the news when it initially was being made that he broke his ankle.
And they kept the shot, jumping from building to building. Broke his ankle, got up, kept running, and it just blows my mind what this guy does.
Yeah, nothing describes Tom Cruise better than seeing that sequence where he breaks his ankle and that's why he gets paid the big bucks and he continues to.
Crazy. But I think that it is important to note that while the stunts reeled me in to see it, it's still backed by a very good story and very good acting. Mustache Gate obviously came from this. If you don't know, look it
yeah.
up. Henry Cavill Mustache Gate. But I do think that it's to me this has overcome James Bond as the best. And Jason Bourne just because it's continued to get better over time.
That's true. Yeah.
As far as the Bond movies are hit and miss, and I love the original Bourne trilogy, and I even like the last two, but they haven't necessarily kept getting better. Whereas Mission Impossible has always been on an upward slope, and so I think it is number one spy franchise right now.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you mentioned the Bourne movies, I forgot about Bourne Legacy with Jeremy.
And
Renner
I think it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I do think it's a good movie. It's just I don't know why you had to make that.
Bourne. What about Bourne?
Why did you have to name it Bourne? You could have just made a spy movie with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah,
maybe you'd be in the same place.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 5, a movie I've yet to see, and I'm excited to get.
Dude, it is something special.
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it compared in terms of practicality to Mad Max.
Mad Max. Yeah, it's wild.
People talking about that level of stunt work.
All the stunts are done by the actors for the most part.
Shots in real places.
Yeah, real locations.
Yeah,
and it's just a feat. It is a spectacle. So you're number 3.
My number 3. It's I guess it's
made by Mission Impossible alumni.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, what a great transition. It's Incredibles 2.
Some call it the animated Mission Impossible.
Some would. I
would.
yeah, I guess. But then, Incredibles 2 was
directed by Brad Bird,
and just being an initial fan of the first Incredibles that came out. I don't know how long, somewhere in the 2000s. Early 2000s.
It was back there.
Yeah, I just remember the video games and the movie, so I was just initially hooked on the movie Incredibles. And then to know that Incredibles 2 was being made, and the story behind it, and especially Brad Bird coming back.
Yeah, and you have like 15 years to prepare. You better, deliver on that promise. Really, really high expectations.
This is textbook great family movie. It's just great to bring anyone to watch, and it's very... and this is something that I think, Pixar, I think they did
Pixar,
that? Yeah, Pixar does really well with, adult themes and then something for the kids. They balance that really well. And
they do.
Especially with, I think, a big theme that I personally liked in Incredibles 2 was parenthood and how being a parent is compared to being a superhero, especially when we saw Mr. Incredible playing the more traditional... I guess non-traditional.
Yeah, we did a parent swap here.
Yeah,
we did a role reversal.
Yeah, role reversal.
Whereas the first one we had Mr. Incredible going out first doing the superheroing, and this time he was staying home watching the kids while Helen went out and tried to restore the good superhero name for the public. And I will say that I think that Incredibles 2 definitely, I'm pretty sure, depending on what Into the Spider-Verse does, is a lock for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
The voice acting is incredible. Obviously, they got the returning cast.
The soundtrack,
Michael Giacchino he's top notch, man. That guy is putting out great score after great score after great score.
Not talked about enough.
Even though I think he is finally getting his due because Disney almost uses him for everything now.
That's true. Yeah.
So finally, I think his name is getting up there with the Hans Zimmers of the world.
Yeah.
And I think The Incredibles 2, the action sequences, they were great in Incredibles 1, but then the director, Brad Bird, he did Mission Impossible 4.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that he brought what he learned there to the animated side, and especially the sequence with Helen when she's driving a motorcycle.
Exactly, yeah, that's
I think that feels so real. That sequence feels so real, and it would definitely lend itself to live action if anyone were to make a live-action Incredibles in 20 years, which I'm sure will happen. But I do think that top to bottom, that movie is near perfect. Near perfect animation.
Frozone.
Yeah, Frozone's back. They got the whole gang back. And the thing that I love most about The Incredibles 2 is, yes, it takes place... not takes place. We got it like 15 years later. But it takes place exactly where the last one left off.
Yeah.
So if you were to watch them back to back, it's like one big story.
That's true, yeah. I didn't think about that, yeah.
And it's basically, it's nostalgic for the people who grew up with it, but it also is easily accessible for all the kids of this generation. And so I think that it's just an incredible film. On Fanema.com, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And I stand by that rating.
Yeah, definitely one to get whenever it comes out.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So our final two,
Mm-hmm.
we have flip-flop, but they're the same movie, so we're going to tackle them together at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 2, your number 1 is Avengers Infinity War.
Yes, Infinite. You knew this movie was going to be on this list. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
I watched that. I've been trying not to watch trailers a million times anymore, so I don't spoil anything. Like, oh, there's a half second of this, you know?
Okay, that's true.
But I couldn't help it. I watched this trailer a million times. I was so excited.
Which one? The teaser? Like the
one with them all running. The scene that's not in the movie.
Yeah. I was just saying. Well, the Russo brothers, they're really
they are.
They're good at that.
I also we'll speculate about that later because I have some questions about that. But Infinity War basically, you know, you and I are huge MCU fans. Go to see all of them opening day. Go to the IMAX. I mean, I saw Civil War 8 times in theaters.
Yes.
I see all these.
Oh yeah. Same.
But Infinity War is a culmination of 10 years. It's unprecedented in film. What we have here, I don't want to gush about this for an hour because I could, and we probably will at some point soon. But basically, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a television series. It's like the Phase 1 movies: Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Hulk, Captain America, Thor. Those were like in the first season. Avengers is the season finale. Then we move up with Phase 2, Avengers: Age of Ultron, that season finale. And now finally we've gotten to the climactic season 3.
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War is basically part 1 of the season finale. Avengers 4 coming out next year will be part 2. And I think it delivered on everything they promised.
Yeah. I mean, they literally they've been teasing Thanos.
For 10 years.
Basically.
Not 10, 8, 9. Yeah, it's been a long time.
And, you know, initially I remember that there was when it came to villains, I think they ran into some people were not really
pleased with Marvel villains overall.
Pleased with the stakes that were being placed by the Marvel villains throughout the MCU. But then we always knew that Thanos was gonna, you know, as you said, they've been teasing that for 8 years, that when he came to the big screen that, you know,
he was gonna wreck house, you know, he was gonna be the villain.
Speaking of wrecking house, villains. I mean, if
you haven't seen Infinity War at this point, we are going to spoil it because I'm sorry, that's your own fault. This thing is a freaking spectacle.
Yeah.
It's going to be this and Avengers 4, I do believe, will be the biggest blockbuster events of our time. I mean, yes, Star Wars Episode 7, but I mean, this is a cultural event that Star Wars already had its built-in audience. That was a confluence of events of, you know, waiting 30 years to see these characters again, a lot of things. This is like in the now, you know. This was created now. This is what our time's probably going to be remembered for, this shared universe that everybody's trying to, you know, copy. But Infinity War, it combines so many different film franchises. You have the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy. You have independent people, independent players. You got Doctor Strange. A lot of things coming together and making it all work in a cohesive story is incredible. You have the jokey nature of the Guardians. You have the more serious, you know,
Captain America
and his
he did not come to play.
No smile.
Not asking for forgiveness.
Way past asking for forgiveness.
Exactly. That he's he's definitely
he
was definitely one of my
nomad.
Yeah, but
8 minutes of screen time.
Him?
Yep,
really?
8 minutes.
Oh,
that's it.
Wow.
But he made all 8 minutes count.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But I mean, it was only 8 minutes.
Yeah, there was those particular scenes, especially with the battle in Wakanda. The charge specifically.
But yeah, let's go over our favorite scene real quick. I have 2.
Okay, yeah.
One, obviously, we've talked about a million times. Black Panther and Captain America leading the charge against Thanos' army. Oh, dude, I get a chill every time. They jump and they just start fighting. It's like you see all the Wakandans running, and then you see Black Panther in the front, and Captain America just sprinting through the crowd. That is, dude, it's special.
Yeah.
And then number 2, when Thor arrives at the battle.
Yeah.
Bring me Thanos!
No.
And he jumps in the air, goes God mode.
I did not expect, like, you know, like the last time I was like really moved by the action that the Russo brothers have done was Civil War.
Airport scene, right?
Yeah, the airport scene and
the final battle, right?
Well, I think it was a Winter Soldier.
Well,
like,
yeah,
initially,
Winter Soldier.
Initially, it was Winter Soldier.
The
like
freeway fight scene.
I was just blown away. I'm like, this
with
could be done.
Score. Well, the knife fight and everything.
Oh yeah.
It's great. It is great.
But yeah, their stunt work, their just all the action.
And I love that a lot of people don't know this, but in Infinity War and in Civil War for sure, they because they're not stunt specialists, they called in Chad Stahelski from John Wick to come in and help them with fight choreography. And they shot a lot of the fight scenes, which obviously it shows. And I think I love that about them is they're great collaborators. You know, some directors are, you know, it's all me, it's all my vision, which is great. But it's always great to, you know, to defer to other people who maybe are more specialists in certain fields. And I think that it shows everything they do. And the wit of the script is great. Tony Stark and Doctor Strange going at it's great.
Exactly.
Star-Lord and Tony Stark.
Yeah, because you know the Russo brothers have thought about that extensively, like who should be interacting with each other on the screen. What do people want to see?
It would have been easy to just throw the people who know each other together again. But they didn't do that.
Yeah,
Thor and Rocket Raccoon. You put like probably the physically strongest and the physically weakest in the entire MCU.
And I really enjoyed. Was it Josh Brolin, right?
Yeah,
his performance as Thanos. Like,
for time.
I was about to ask you, like, what's your favorite line?
My favorite line?
Famous Thanos line.
It used to be something else, but now every time I think of freaking Thanos, I go to that meme. Let me guess. You're home?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I do think that he definitely brought, his voice was very big. Yeah. Very bolsterous. Very strong voice.
He's a demigod, right? That's what he is?
He's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing here, so I'm going to go ahead and fact check myself and come back to you later with that one. But he is a Titan. I know that
he's a Titan, yeah. Titan.
Yeah. He's not a demigod.
Yeah.
I mean, he kicked Thor's ass, so I'm pretty sure he's basically a god. He kicked a god's ass.
That's true.
So there's that. And he kicked a Hulk's ass.
Yeah, to the point where he won't, even show up in the movie anymore.
Yeah, and I watched the commentary, and I thought, too, that, like, the Hulk was afraid of Thanos. That's why he wouldn't come out anymore.
Oh, well,
because he's never had his ass kicked like that.
Well, what's the scoop then?
Basically, the Russo brothers talked about it, and they said that they knew people would think that. What their thing was is the Hulk is tired of only coming out to save Banner, only coming out to basically help Banner out. And he feels like Banner's not doing anything for him. And so in this movie, Banner has to be the hero himself. And I do think that the Hulk is going to respect that. He took out Cole Obsidian. And so I do think he's going to come back in Avengers 4. Although I still do think it will take some big event. Perhaps Black Widow's death. To bring him back.
You guys are getting a inside
hot
look. Hot take there. All right.
You probably didn't hear it here first, but I'm gonna say you did.
Yes. To recap, that is
my number 2. Yes. Your number 1. Moving on to my number 1. Your number 2. The one, the only, directed by John Krasinski, Jim from The Office. Yeah. A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place it's special, man. John Krasinski directed this, co-wrote it. It's obviously, I'm sure everybody knows what it is. It's basically, it was billed as like a horror movie, but really it's more of a sci-fi thriller. Yeah. Basically, aliens landed on Earth. We don't get too much backstory. We get enough. We get enough because the characters don't know exactly what happened, so they try and put the audience in the same perspective, and I like that. But basically, this movie is terrifically made. It is a masterpiece in my opinion. John Krasinski, who knew he could have made a masterpiece like this, but he did. I think that sound is one of the biggest characters and one of the biggest strengths of the movie, or lack thereof sound. So what do you think of the movie overall, man? What is some of the things that stick out to you?
Well, I'm also going to mention the co-star and John Krasinski's wife Emily Blunt.
Another dude at this point in the year. Just to say it again, Oscar level performance. Yeah, Oscar level. I think between her, Charlize Theron, and Tully, and what's her name? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name.
Which movie?
But from Hereditary.
Oh yeah, I don't remember her name.
I forgot it. But those three are the best 3 performances I've seen all year. They're incredible. Yeah. And I do think that, so in this movie, one of the daughters of the family is deaf, and he actually casted a deaf girl to play her. And it wasn't just casting a deaf girl. She's more than capable. She was incredible in the film. But I love how they use her being deaf as part of the story, Because you have these aliens, you have different things going on. You can't make a sound. and whenever it's her perspective, the sound drains out, and you can see things happening in the background, and she just can't hear it. So what, she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
If she's turned around or whatever. And I think that's a really useful tool that could have been used, in a cheap way, but they used it extremely well and extremely efficiently.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jim from The Office, literally the beginning of this movie.
The cold open, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, as John Krasinski, I don't know, he's never done something like this before. I didn't know what type of tone this movie was gonna set for us, and literally from the cold open, how this
right out the gate, they tell you that this is a dire situation they're in.
Yeah,
and I think that the way the story goes, without really spoiling it, they make it as hard as possible for this family to survive in this environment, because you have to live in silence. You have 2 kids, you have other things going on, new things coming in, and I think that it's a great story. It's well directed. The cinematography is absolutely incredible.
The lights,
and the lighting. Yeah. They have this contrast with red and white lights, which works extremely well. And it's just a feat to me. Also, I think that Emily Blunt, seriously, man, she is having a great year. Because she's going to be in this, and then she's going to be Mary Poppins in December.
That's true. Is she? I don't think she won an Academy Award.
I don't think she's won one either yet.
That's shocking to hear.
It is shocking. I think she should have been nominated for Sicario. I don't believe she was. What about Huntsman? What? No.
Let's yeah, but for me, that was How about the theater experience itself? I mean,
seriously, yeah, I've never been in a theater like that.
I was tense
that I wasn't in alone. I've been alone in theaters. It was louder than that. But it's tense. Everybody's holding their breath. Poor people bought popcorn and then didn't eat it because you don't want to make a sound.
Yeah, it's like a somewhat of a not. I don't really want to compare it, but there was a similar feeling when I watched Don't Breathe. Cause
definitely.
The tone that just how they film and
I feel like you feel like so engrossed and so encompassed in the movie that you feel like you're there and you don't want to make a sound just instinctually.
And it's that it's that
But I will say too that I think that makes your experience with this movie basically hinged on how mature your audience is. Because I think if you have a bunch of idiots in your audience who are laughing or talking, I think it will ruin the experience to a degree.
That sometimes happens in horror. I think
people get scared. They pull out their phone, and I pop a vessel in my eye.
There'll definitely be a podcast episode on theater etiquette.
I'll have an hour rant.
Oh yeah, trust me, you guys. Trust me, everyone.
I'm gonna go off. It's gonna happen someday soon.
Yeah.
When my blood pressure is very low.
Yeah, but there we go.
That's
top 5 scene
2018.
Yeah.
Over halfway through the year, we're just getting into Oscar season.
Yeah, we got the TIFF festival coming out with all these.
Everybody's coming out of TIFF raving about these movies.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to move into the top 5 most anticipated for the rest of the year. We have some fairly similar. We have some crossover in our lists. Top 3 are the same. Are 4 and 5. I'll do my, just for the sake of argument and discussion, I'll put my number 4 at number 5 so we can discuss it together.
All right, sure.
Actually, you know what? No, forget that. I'm just gonna do my number 5.
Yeah. All right. And then what's our number 5 here?
My number 5 is the same. Wow, I'm dumb. Beautiful Boy is our number 5. Boy, boy, am I excited! I have no idea what I'm saying right now, dude.
Beautiful Boy. Beautiful Boy. Steve Carell,
Timothy Chalamet.
Amazon Studios
cranking out another seemingly extremely promising film.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing but great things about this thing. It's a story about fatherhood and substance abuse.
Yeah.
Obviously, Steve Carell, we were just talking about another Office co-star. His career trajectory has gone... It's gone in such a way that I didn't expect. From, he made his name off of comedies in The Office, and now he's doing all these deep, dramatic roles, and he's showing his chops, and I think that he's definitely going to get an Oscar nomination this year for either this movie or for, I forget what that name of that movie is, but he's in another...
Welcome to Marlon.
Welcome to Marlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marwin. There we go.
Oh, Marwin, yeah.
Yeah, Welcome to Marwin. But he's gonna have a great year. I think Beautiful Boy looks incredible. I've heard the Timothy Chalamet one-ups his performance from last year in Call Me by Your Name. I heard that It's even better than that.
Oh, okay.
So if you've seen Call Me by Your Name, then you know that performance was great. He was nominated for it. So that's number 5. I really haven't. The thing is with this list, I haven't looked too far into a lot of these because I don't want to get things spoiled.
That's
so we're not going to go as far in depth. But number 5 is Beautiful Boy. Going into number 4, you can go ahead and go first.
For me, my number 4 is Boy Erased directed by Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, his second movie. If anyone has seen the movie The Gift, that was his first movie he directed, 2015, I believe, and he hasn't done anything since.
Yeah, and for me, just the fact that it's based on a true story already like reels me in, and
it has the other Oscar Golden Boy now.
Lucas Hedges.
Yep. Former Oscar Golden Boy, looking like John Goodman. What's his name? Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah, Russell Crowe.
Joel Edgerton,
Nicole Kidman. It's riddled with Oscar winners. Exactly.
And Oscar nominees. And this movie, like you said, written and directed by Joel Edgerton, which tells you right there, I guarantee you it's going to be of a certain quality.
Yeah. And it's just just the story about how they go into, I think it's a conversion camp.
Yeah, this kid, he comes out to his family as gay.
Yeah. And
they're very religious, and they're not going to accept it, so they send him to this conversion camp.
Yep.
To try and get the gay out of him, I guess.
Pretty much. Troye Sivan is in there as well, if people know who he is. Yeah, he's in there as well. And Joel Edgerton mostly is what like really got me like
interested in the movie. And I think any time in the last 2 years, if you see Lucas Hedges on a movie, that it's going to be great.
That's true.
He has not missed once yet.
Yes. And so, for me, my number 4 is Boy Erased. And
so going into my number 4, we got Creed 2.
Yeah, knew this one was going to come. Creed 2.
The Rocky franchise has a special place in my heart. You know that. I can't do it anymore. I recently watched the first Rocky, but I used to be able to recite that thing near perfectly. There was a summer where it was on TV every single night at 9 p.m. and then again at 12 p.m. and I would watch it twice a night. This movie, though, directed by Stephen Caple Jr., so we're not getting Ryan Coogler back, but the returning cast, we have Michael B. Jordan coming back. The trailer looks incredible, and one thing I was nervous about, again, going back to like something I was arguing with Sicario 2, is that the shooting style was so distinct for the boxing, and that's something I really gravitated to with Creed. I was really nervous that it wouldn't look the same because it's different than what we've seen in Rocky. It's updated, it's modern, it's really dynamic, while keeping that real feel from the Rocky movies. They're really throwing punches, and it did look great from the trailer, so I'm hooked. The story is something. I mean, everybody knew we had to get to here. Once we saw Creed was a movie, we knew that at some point he was going to have to either fight Drago's old self, or fight his son. So he's fighting his son. Literally, there could be 30 minutes of drama, an hour and a half of fighting, and I would be in. I don't care if what they do. I am so hooked into this movie. Michael B. Jordan just continuing his basically prominence in Hollywood. I think he's not slowing down. He's picking great projects. And so I'm just incredibly excited for this movie.
And now for our number
3. We have the same movies for 3, 2, and 1. So number 3.
Oh, here we go. What do we got?
First Man. Damien Chazelle.
Yeah.
Coming off of my favorite movie of all time, tied with Jurassic Park, La La Land. I will put a La La Land reference anytime I possibly can. I will quote the movie anytime I can. This guy is 2 movies deep right now, and he's 2 for 2. Oscar nominated for both previous films, and from everything I've heard, he's a shoo-in for a 3rd Oscar nomination. This is another movie. It's not something we haven't seen before, but I do think that he's telling it in a way that we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
the story about Neil Armstrong and the first moon landing, and I from what I've heard, it's a really raw, character-driven depiction of the moon race, the space race, in America. I don't think we're really going too far out into the world. I think it's really a character study on Neil Armstrong and the other astronauts. Incredible cast. Claire Foy, Kyle Chandler, who's incredibly underrated. Ryan Gosling, of course.
Lead guy.
And if you've seen the trailer, this looks like perhaps the most realistic space exploration film we've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't even really know when was like the last time. Gravity?
I mean, say Interstellar. I know it's a sci-fi, but I think Interstellar looked incredible.
That's true, yeah.
The space aspect, that's because Christopher Nolan's a master.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Gravity, Interstellar, this looks more gripping than either of those to me.
I think Damien Chazelle's first IMAX.
Yeah, his first IMAX release.
The youngest,
and this is
the
his
youngest,
first.
Yeah.
His first film that isn't either entirely a musical or centered around being a musical. This is, and that's why a lot of people were like eager to see what he did, because Whiplash, obviously about a drummer, a prodigy drummer, trying to basically become the best drummer in the world, and then La La Land is a musical. So this is definitely a departure, but it feels like Damien Chazelle to me. Because I think that, yes, it's a musical, La La Land, but the character parts are some of the best. Because traditionally, you have musicals, it's just song after song after song, whereas La La Land is, a song, but then a lot of acting in between. And this movie looks like it's going to have nominations for Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Costume. And I haven't heard anything from the score, but with a space film, I'm sure it's gonna be great.
That's true. Quick, what's one of your favorite lines in La La Land?
Pishikaka.
Okay, and from that, we're going on to our number 2. No, okay.
Number 2. This could be the number 1.
That's true.
I think we're gonna swap it.
Oh, really? You're gonna make a last minute change?
I'm ready to swap it. I'm ready to make an audible on the field.
I was thinking the same thing actually.
I'm making an audible. Omaha.
All right, if we're gonna go, I think that's the cue.
Yeah, so number 2 for both of us is Halloween.
Okay, yeah, Halloween. Who do we got?
David Gordon Green directing, known for films like Pineapple Express. Co-written by Danny McBride. That all seems odd.
Yeah.
When you think of a horror film.
Exactly.
Like Danny McBride, Pineapple Express, Eastbound and Down.
He was an Alien Covenant.
Yes, he was. And I do think that he showed some dramatic chops in there. I don't even know if he's in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's a cameo. Maybe he's a cop. I could see him as like some random cop sitting in a car. But this movie caught me by surprise.
How so?
I didn't expect, because we always have these reboots.
Okay.
Like the Friday the 13th reboot it wasn't terrible, but it was not good. The Nightmare on Elm Street reboot was absolutely terrible. That thing was awful. But Halloween, 4th grade, there I was, sick on an October morning. Flip on the television. What do I see? Halloween. That's a movie that got me into horror. That's a movie. It's still my favorite horror film of all time. I think that from a filmmaking aspect, what they did with it is incredible, with those long tracking shots, with the ending that makes you feel like not everything's not going to be okay. The movie's over, but we're not safe. Yeah. And I love that. I love the score is incredibly iconic.
Yeah, the score.
The character of Michael Myers is incredibly iconic. And what they're doing with this movie is basically only treating the first film as canon.
Yeah.
Which I think is a necessary thing if you really want to be able to have a lot of freedoms with the story, because they've had like 11 installments in this franchise. You don't want to have to try and cater to all the canon they've made. Some of it's ridiculous, even though I enjoy all of them, besides Season of the Witch.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do this thing with trailers where we only really watch the initial trailer that comes out for the movies. But for this trailer, we couldn't really. There was a second trailer, and we couldn't really avoid it when we went to go see The Nun.
Sadly.
And we were for a split second we were thinking, should we look? But we were.
Yeah, I couldn't. I tried to cover my eyes for like half a tenth of a second.
Yeah, and literally we were like, nope, we're gonna. We have to see this. It's on the screen. And again, all the things like the soundtrack
it feels like the original Halloween but updated.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is great because it has those long tracking shots. No score, cut out. It's just Michael Myers. Walking, stalking people. It looks like it's gonna be gruesome, but not overly gruesome.
Well, I'm just waiting for that soundtrack. Just go dun 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 dun, and then it just go from there. Especially like if they get like, don't they sometimes do like Michael Myers vision? Like
yeah, that's great. And you hear him breathing in the mask. And it's sort of Darth Vader-esque, It
is, yeah. And I think I'm like no means gonna watch the second trailer again, and I think for the same reasons we're just not gonna.
They do give a lot away in that trailer. I tried to not think about it.
Exactly.
I've tried to delete it from my memory banks.
But yeah, like Halloween for both of us holds a special place in our hearts in terms of igniting our love for horror.
For horror, yeah.
And so definitely that's
It's
why
up
it's
there.
up there. And now
It's
for our
number one
number
movie.
one, this guy.
It's not. I mean, it is a movie that I would go to see, but I think that
He
a lot
already
of
has a
people
poster
that
of
know
this
me
up in
don't-
his
Yes,
room.
I do. I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a movie that necessarily I would gravitate to normally. You know, it's
yeah, that's
and that is A Star Is Born. Lady Gaga. We have Bradley Cooper directing his first feature film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It the first trailer. I was sitting in a theater. I see this trailer. I see Bradley Cooper looking like a bona fide country star. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. I was hooked. Done. Hook,
Same,
line, and sinker. I was
same,
ready.
Same.
And it slightly reminds me of La La Land. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because it's musical and it just has that feeling to me. I just have this inherent feeling that this movie is going to be special.
I mean, we're already like picking out lines from the trailer. Like, there's so many great lines in the trailer. Just
Hey.
I mean, he already bought the soundtrack.
I'm ready to go for this movie. I'm trying to avoid. We were watching YouTube, remember, and
Oh,
it was on autoplay, and a movie clip came up, like a TV spot.
Yeah.
I was frantically trying to turn that shit off. I was about to throw my computer through my TV, and but I'm trying to avoid everything I can. But A Star Is Born, from what I heard from Tiff,
Exactly.
is that we're looking at nominations for both Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, her first
feature film. She was in American Horror Story, but this is her first movie.
Yeah.
The songs just sound incredibly catchy. I think that the direction, from everything I've heard, is expert level pretty much. And I think it's always a treat when someone's directorial debut lands them into Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
And I think that
John Krasinski being one of them.
John Krasinski,
Hopefully.
I hope.
Yeah.
Well, this is his third movie.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was his first. It's his third.
Mm-hmm.
He did one with Anna Kendrick, which I've seen. I can't remember the name. Then he did one other movie. But Bradley Cooper, I think that guy, he voices Rocket Raccoon. If you didn't know that, if you would never be able to tell.
That's true.
The guy's sort of a chameleon, you know. He changes a lot role to role. And I do think that he's just getting started. I think it's kind of reminding me of Ben Affleck. Not in the fact that I think Bradley Cooper's always been part of esteemed films, and I think before Ben started directing, people were up and down on him. But I do think that if he directs this and he kills it like we think he's going to, I think we're just going to see more and more and more Bradley Cooper directing films and starring.
When he told me about his love for this movie, when we were in that parking lot.
Love for the trailer.
Yeah, when the trailer, yeah, because this movie has been made before, but we were in the parking lot, and I haven't seen him in a long time, and then for him to just drop this movie out there, I was just so
shocked.
I was so shocked because I thought I was gonna be I thought I was the only one that I knew who was so moved by the trailer that
it just has a special feeling, man.
I didn't I don't remember a trailer suddenly just
for me, I don't know either. It's been a long time.
Literally a trailer
outside of Star Wars.
Yeah, I haven't been anticipating this movie at all. Just literally the trailer.
I knew Bradley Cooper was making a movie. I knew Lady Gaga was in it. No idea what it was.
Yeah, and so like he said, the word from Tiff, standing ovations, plenty of praise for Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
And so you're gonna hear a heavy flow of this soundtrack blasting from my car.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Did not expect.
It's the first time I'm worried about you.
We got him.
But that's the top 5 most anticipated list. Let's run through it again real quick. Your top 5.
My top 5 is going from 5 is Beautiful Boy.
Yep.
4 is Boy Erase.
Yep.
Number 3 is First Man.
Yes, sir.
Number 2 is Halloween.
Yep.
And then number 1 is A Star Is Born.
And my number 5, Beautiful Boy. Creed 2 at number 4. First Man at number 3. Halloween at number 2. A Star Is Born is number 1. There's so many more movies I want to see.
Yeah.
Green Book is another one. Actually, I'm not going to go through the list. I'm here forever.
Yeah,
but
so much.
But that's going to be episode 1. We're still testing out the format of everything. We might end up going to video. This one's just going to be audio only for now. We have a YouTube channel, Fanema Movies. We're going to be sharing the link on our Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
And you can find us at Fanema Movies, no space or anything. With that is episode 1. I am Eli.
I'm G.
And we will see you next time.